Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Looks like we still have people logging in right now. I know the joys of technology and getting all that set up. But while we're waiting for folks to get settled in, we do have a poll open on the screen that you can click and submit your answer to how many people are viewing at your location. Maybe you're sitting at your desk, or maybe you have a little lunch and learn set up in your conference room with a few coworkers. This is really helpful to just help us get a better idea of how many people actually watched and attended beyond just how many attendees we have. So thank you for your help in that. We'll close that poll in just a minute. And we'll be getting ready to jump right in. Hopefully y'all should be able to see me. My name is Alex Scarborough. I'm the Director of Membership and Professional Services at Movability. We're the Central Texas Transportation Management Association. And let me just go ahead and I'm going to close this poll and pull up the slides so that we can get started. All right. Hang in there while I get this technology working. Okay, awesome. So today's webinar is called 3 Modern Commute Tools for Austinites. We're going to really run the gamut between some free tools and options and rebates even that are offered through the City of Austin and their partners, all the way going to some cool private sector technology that's been developed to help us score our commutes and help employees get a better idea of what their commute means, both for their own lives and also for the community as a whole. So Commutify is something that can happen in any community. So I know we have a few attendees that may not be from the Austin area. If so, welcome. We're still really excited to have you here, and we'd love to entertain your questions about maybe how to get some of this in your own area. So jumping right in. As I mentioned, I'm with Movability, the Central Texas Transportation Management Association. We're a nonprofit membership association working within the greater Austin area, really focused on helping employers connect their employees to commute options that save time and money, are better for the environment, are less stressful, and are good both for the employee and for the employer, helping with recruitment and retention, with social responsibility, with controlling facilities costs, and all of those good things. So probably many of you are already Movability members. If so, thank you. We have over 80 member organizations in Central Texas. If you're not a member yet, we would love for you to join us. We have more information on our website at movabilitytx.org. We have corporate memberships available, partner memberships, as well as individual memberships. So if you find today's webinar and this content helpful for you, we'd love to have you at our future webinars as well as our in-person networking events. One of the big things that we are working on and excited about right now is best workplaces for commuters. Some of you may have joined us on our last webinar, which was actually hosted by Best Workplaces for Commuters. It's a national recognition program that honors companies that really provide stellar commute benefits to their employees. That could be a parking cash out, free transit passes, van pooling, bike amenities, car sharing. It really runs the gamut, but if you think that your company might be qualified, or if you're interested in finding out if you would be qualified, please feel free to reach out to us. For our members, we're able to offer application help. In fact, I'll pretty much fill out the whole application for you with your help, as well as for select members actually being able to pay for that $230 Best Workplaces fee. So it's a really great deal. Then we honor those companies here locally at the Mayor's Mobility Breakfast, which will be on February 5th, 2020. So save the date for that, and hopefully we'll be handing out those awards to your companies soon. Now, that's it for me. We are going to jump right into our presentation. So we have 4 really fabulous presenters today. You see their photos and their names up here. Our first presenter is going to be Julie Anderson with the City of Austin, talking about their new Get There ATX website, which is very exciting. We have Caitlin Bullock, who is with Austin Energy, They'll be talking about their electric bikes and other rebate programs that can help you live a more sustainable lifestyle and also a more affordable lifestyle. And then we have Esteban Sanchez and Josh Jacobson with Commutify talking about their really innovative technology and how you may be able to leverage that in your own commute programs. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into Julie's presentation. We will hold questions until the very end of all three presentations. So please go ahead. You should find in the right side of your screen a little bar that says questions. So feel free to type your questions in as we go and send those to us. And we'll have time for Q&A at the end where we'll go through as many of those as we can. If we run out of time, we'll definitely send your answers through via email and a follow-up. All right, so Julie, I'm going to pass the keyboard over to you so that you can click through.
Okay, great.
And you should be good to go.
Okay, fantastic. Everybody can hear me, I'm assuming?
Yep, you sound great.
Okay, great. So I'm Julie Anderson. I work for the City of Austin Transportation Department on our Transportation Demand Management team. Today I'm going to talk to y'all about our new resource for getting around Austin. Let's see. I clicked. Is the slide not moving? There we go. Okay. So we all know that traffic is kind of crazy here in Austin, but we also know that we cannot build our way out of our congestion problems. We can't keep adding capacity to our roadways, just adding more and more vehicles onto those roadways. And another important fact to remember is that during rush hour is that if we remove just 4% of the cars from the roadways, that could relieve congestion by as much as 30%. That's a pretty significant amount without having to build more infrastructure. That is where the Austin Transportation TDM program comes into play. So Transportation Demand Management, or TDM as we just refer to it usually, seeks cost-effective solutions to combat congestion in non-infrastructure ways. So we really want to reduce those drive-alone trips, increase active trips, and then also shift driving trips away from those most congested times, all without having to add even any more capacity or any cost onto our roadways. So that's what TDM is. That's what we've been working on. This is really important work for Austin. And just so you know how important it was, this is what the city's website looked like previously. So this was our TDM website, which it's not bad, it's not good, it's a lot of information, but it's also very text heavy. And this site really wasn't a resource for people actually wanting to utilize TDM in their lives. This isn't going to get anybody to mode shift. And the term itself, Transportation Demand Management, and use of the acronym TDM isn't super user friendly. So people in the field, we use this term a lot, but for general Austinites or anybody else, we don't really know what TDM is. So instead of trying to teach people what TDM stands for, we here at Austin Transportation decided to, quote unquote, rebrand TDM for the public with a public-facing website that would act as a resource for people with lots of information, kind of a one-stop shop of people of how they could get around Austin without always having to get into a car by themselves. This is where our brand new Get Their ATX website was born. So this is just a screenshot of the homepage. We'll go to there in a second, but I just wanted to say we wanted to create a site that had useful information for people that wanted to get around Austin using a mode other than driving alone. We just launched this site earlier this month on September 3rd. We're pretty excited for it. So Alex, can I get the screen to go to the site?
Yep, give me just a moment and I will pass that presenter role over to you. Okay, go ahead and click to share your screen, Julie. Yep, perfect.
Okay. Can you guys hoping? Okay. So I want to spend a bunch of our time kind of going over this website and talking about kind of our thoughts behind where we place everything and what's important about it. So this is our homepage. It takes you to this page that is scrolling, which is kind of delayed right now because I'm on a remote connection, but this first just goes you through so that when people first go to this website, they know, for one, that it's dynamic. The information is changing all the time. So right now we're showing back to school because school just started. And then obviously we're showing for festival season because, as we know, ACL is right around the corner, and that has a big impact on our traffic system here in Austin. So we wanted this website to convey Austin, and we're a cool city doing cool things. We wanted it to have lots of photos, lots of information, and if you continue to scroll down, you can see different Twitter feeds, and then you can join our newsletter, which, if you have not signed up to receive the Austin Mobility newsletter, please do so. There's also great information in there. So we wanted to separate this information out by mode type, which is this mobility options page, and then also by traveler type, which is this solutions for page. And then we also have this programs and policies tab, which for anybody who is a bit more wanting to get into the weeds, or maybe they're a big policy wonk or want to know about stuff behind the scenes, we have this tab here for, land use and parking, which has a big effect on our transportation and our congestion. What are the plans and codes Austin's working on to further TDM? So, and then we also have our about page, which who we are here in Austin, people working on it, and then we have a blog that we populate semi-frequently, I would say. So I'm going to first walk through our mobility options, no pun intended with walking through that. So I want you guys to see this website and the resources that it has available for people. So we really want the website to be taking down barriers to people who don't quite know where to start. There's a lot of information on the website. There's lots of, not just the website, but the internet in general. So we wanted there to be a one-stop shop for people to go to say, hey, I'm interested in biking to work. Where should I start with that? So we started out with walking, and you can see on each page we have these separate different tabs that talk about interesting things that would help you to start walking, either as a way to commute or just when you're getting around for utilitarian trips in Austin. So it goes all the way from trips to what is a pedestrian hybrid beacon, where are good places to walk. We talk a lot about our trails. What are the programs that are in Austin to help people get to walking? So our sidewalk program, wayfinding program, streets as places. And again, instead of having to go onto austintexas.gov and searching around, maybe you don't know which department handles the sidewalk program. What division? Is it public works? Is it engineering? Is it Austin transportation? I don't know. So this website really puts all the information in one place, so you can just then click on it, get the information you need, and take it to the page that you need. Same with our bike page. So we really wanted to have good information here for people that they could use. So we created several of these PDFs that are educational, encouragement, informational, motivational, get people out there biking. So if you click on one of those, it brings you up to this really nice PDF with all this information. So anybody could open this PDF, print it out, post it at their workplace if they wanted to get their coworkers excited about commuting as well. People are concerned about how are they going to get there safely. Here's a way to prevent bike crashes. And then also videos that we've made here in Austin for our programs to get people out riding their bike, knowing, the general basics to get around. And so we cover a lot of information on our bike page. We know biking can be a really great way for people to commute to work and to get their last mile connection. So we've got maps, again, our urban trails. We're often have some great urban trails, information about bike share, biking in transit, where we have another one of our really great newly created information PDFs about biking and taking your bus on the bus. And all that information. So there's a lot of information here to help people get around Also, we wanted to make sure we provided information for assistance programs for biking and for scooters as well for people who are low income. And, we want to make sure everybody has the options and the tools they need to be able to get around Austin in ways that don't involve a vehicle. Obviously, we included the page about scooters because they have taken over the micromobility world and are very useful here in Austin for our goals in reducing congestion. So you can see we just list out what are the rules, because those are probably the most important things for people to know when they're getting on their scooter. If they see an issue, people can report to 311. And again, we have assistance programs for our scooters, resources available for people. Austin is one of the first cities to put out information that we've gathered from our micromobility companies and put that information out to the public to know how many trips are being taken, how many miles, what's the average minutes. All that information we make available to the public. And instead of, again, trying to find that information on the austintexas.gov website, you can come here to gettheratx.com and find this one-stop resource. And then we also go through public transit and rideshare. And one thing about rideshare is that this is where we're combining everything that involves carpool, van pool, car share, pedicab, which we've made sure we wanted to highlight pedicab because there's such an interesting, unique kind of Austin vibe. So we made sure to include that. And then all these different ride-hailing companies that can help you get around Austin without having to drive your own vehicle, or maybe you don't have a vehicle. And I skipped over public transit on accident, so let's go back there. So we know that Cat Metro is a big partner with the city and in getting us to reduce congestion by getting more people to mode shift over to transit. So you can see the tabs we have here highlight, I just wanted to know about different programs within Cat Metro, but also regionally. If maybe you have a car, but you don't like driving to Houston or Dallas. So we talk about options here for several options for you to be able to get around regionally without having to get into a vehicle and drive that yourself. So lots of information here. Again, the site is meant to be a one-stop shop for people wanting to get into commuting in a different way, but not really knowing where to start. So this is all that information available to them. So I'm going to hop over to our Solutions 4 page, which you can see we broke it down to how you identify as what kind of commuter or visitor, employer, schools, and of course special events, because as we know, Austin, as the music capital of the world, we have lots of really cool events going on here. So if you were a commuter, maybe you don't know how you want to get to work, but you know you're a commuter and you want to find a new option to get around, you could go directly to the commuters page. And this is where we would give you tips about transit, bike commuting, sharing the ride, and then the all-important midday trip options for people who maybe have to go between offices or run errands over their lunch period, or just during the day have offices elsewhere or meetings elsewhere. We highlight, teleworking and flexing your hours. Those are really important for commuters that sometimes don't get thought about. You think about commuting as an active thing you're doing, but also teleworking and flexing is a really important thing. Always getting home, we want to make sure we highlight all of those as well, because again, people have that concern. If I'm car sharing or van pooling or taking the bus, how am I going to get home if something happens? And then our resources page, which we always we have in just about every tab here, is how else can you get more information? So again, this is a one-stop shop place for information, but there are other organizations that are doing most of that heavy lifting, such as Movability and our regional commute solutions. We want to make sure we link to those as well, so people can perhaps join Movability or get their employer to join Movability, or work with Commute Solutions to join their carpool network. And then one thing I want to talk about is our special events. So we added this tab kind of late in the game because we were trying to find a way we could get dynamic information about all the events we have coming up. So we added this special events page because we know that, ACL, South by Southwest, UT football games have a big impact on our transportation network. So this information here is meant to be very up-to-date and current, and we'll add it to our front page slider so that people can know, okay, it's ACL, how am I going to get around? There's the shuttle, Cat Metro, I'm taking my personal bike, where are scooters going to go? this is all information that we have here in one place for people who are coming. And we're working with several different partners like Cat Metro, Downtown Austin Alliance, and our multiple media channels to get the word out to everybody who's going to be coming to Austin about this information resource. So I am going to go back to, I have one last slide. So this is our really great website. We are excited about it. Oof. Alex, how do I get back to the slides itself?
We should be showing the slide again. Yep, your slide's up there.
Okay. Can I see it? Oh yeah, I can see it. So I'm going to go to my last slide here, I believe. Oh, so we know that this website is just one piece of the entire TDM puzzle. So this is just one step involved in reaching Austin's goal to ease congestion by providing Austinites with a comprehensive resource and repository of information. We know that other steps include programs such as Better and More bike infrastructure, better transit, parking fee restructuring, incorporating TDM into new development, teleworking policies. We know that it takes all of these things working together to really make an impact on our transportation network, and this website is one piece of that puzzle. Yeah. Here we go. So just to let you all know, it's our tagline: discover a better commute at gettheratx.com. Use it. If you want to share on our social media page, I can send to you, some standard messaging we have. If you want to share it with your peer groups, your work group, let me know, and I can come out and let you know about it. We're excited about this website. We're excited for the opportunities that it's creating for us to get the word out better about TDM. And if anybody has any questions, you can email me here, and I'll do my best to answer them. And thanks so much for having me here to chat with about this, Alex.
All right, thank you so much, Julie. Yeah, I just want to underline gettheratx.com is a really amazing resource that the city worked hard to put together. So I encourage everybody to check it out. Some of those bike encouragement PDFs are really useful. They have ones for employers as well as individuals. And it's just a great tool that we haven't had before, and is going to be great for our community. So thanks again, Julie. And just a reminder, if anybody has questions for Julie, feel free to type them into the question box. I've seen a few pop up already, and we will get to those at the end. All right, so our next presenter is going to be Caitlin Bullock. And Caitlin, I'm going to hand the mouse over to you so that you can click through the slides. Go for it.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Alex. So my name is Caitlin Bullock, and I am from Austin Energy with the Electric Vehicles and Emerging Technologies team. I started with AE in 2017 with Energy Efficiency Services, and I moved up to the EV team a year after that. So I've been with them about a year and a half now. I'm currently on the newly formed day-to-day operations staff of 3 people. I used to work with the home and electric bike rebates, but I've since moved to commercial and multifamily charging station rebates. So I really miss working with the E-Ride program. So I'm very happy to present on this topic because I miss it and it's so fun to me. That's me in the photo to the left a couple summers ago. And I am standing next to Stevie, the EV-loving T-Rex, with some B-Cycle bikes we have downtown. Stevie is our newest marketing campaign for the EV team, and he wants everyone to drive electric and say goodbye to gas. So if you haven't seen his videos or his shimmy dance yet, I would highly suggest going to pluginaustin.com and watching them. Let's see if this is working. There we go. So although the Austin Energy EV team has many great programs and incentives, I am going to cover the Electric Ride program specifically, or E-Ride for short. E-Ride is our rebate incentive program to encourage the adoption of choosing to ride electric bikes or other E-Ride vehicles that I will cover later on. So what is an e-bike specifically? An e-bike is a bicycle that has a motor and a battery. It looks and operates very similar to a conventional bicycle, but it has all the key parts that a bike has, like pedals and a chain, plus that motor and battery. So basically, you can go faster and farther than a traditional bicycle, and they help make hills seem smaller and distances shorter. So there are different types of e-bikes, but most people know of the pedal assist bikes and one with throttles. The pedal assist provides a gentle boost on its own that most riders can't hardly feel. That makes cycling much easier and more fun. I personally prefer the bikes with the throttles because I like the exercise function of the bike, but I want to be able to add that boost when I need it. Plus, it gets me thinking that I'm riding a motorcycle when I'm really not. So what are some other reasons to get an electric bike? Number one, they're absolutely fun to ride. I rode one within my first month of working here, and I was hooked after that, currently saving up for one. Two, makes commuting a breeze. You can commute to work, go get groceries, take your kids to school with an attachment on the back, all without getting sweaty. Three, you might not think about it, but it's the social aspect of riding the bike. When you have a couple of electric bikes, you can get together and go on rides with each other, and you don't have to worry about different fitness levels or physical abilities. And most importantly, if you find that your e-bike takes you places in a timely manner, you might even be able to get rid of your car or use it way less. Riding an e-bike reduces air pollutants about 98% compared to gas-powered cars. So riding e-bikes also helps you save money on transportation and maintenance costs. If you feel like you still have to use your car, having an e-bike will also increase your visibility and awareness of electric transportation. So you might be more inclined to buy an electric car in the future, and Austin Energy can help you out with some other rebate programs you can email me about later. So before getting into the nitty-gritty of the incentive program and its values, I wanted to first give you some background information about the program's history. This was especially fun for me to uncover because I've been with the team for a short while, and I got to interview all of my coworkers to see who was there the longest and kind of uncover more about the program before I came to the team. So in 2007, the Austin City Council adopted a resolution to make Austin the leading city in the nation in the effort to reduce the negative impacts of global warming. And from that, they established a goal that aligned with the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Reduction Targets. From that came a shift towards going to electric products to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and a grant was given by the Clean Cities program to Austin Energy. So the money from the Clean Cities program first went to electric lawnmowers and electric bikes, which I thought that was really interesting. So I went down a rabbit hole and got to researching. And I actually found out that from the Union of Concerned Scientists, that when you run a gas-powered lawnmower for 1 hour, you're actually creating an equal amount of pollution to driving 8 sedans at 55 miles an hour. So thought that was crazy. But after some time with the program, my coworker now, she's been with the program since 2011 when I first started, she kind of uncovered there were some problems with that incentive amount and people who are applying for that program. It kind of opened the door to other four-wheel vehicles like golf carts and other vehicles where tons of people wanted rebates. So in 2012, when the EV team was established, the rules were changed and it was transformed to the rebate program we have today with two-wheel and three-wheel vehicles only. So what are some examples of the two-wheel and three-wheel vehicles that we rebate for? We allow rebates for electric bikes, scooters, mopeds, motorcycles, and Segways. Though we haven't seen many of the other 4 types of rebates, we primarily give out electric bike rebates 99% of the time. So now we will do a deep dive into the program and its rebate terms. So in the beginning of this program, mileage range and cost was both factored into the incentive amount. So basically, the more mileage the bike could go and the bigger the battery, the higher the rebate. This was getting quite confusing for customers and our operations staff. So a few years later, the incentive amounts were changed to strictly how much the bike costs you, the higher the rebate you get. So for an example, if you purchase a bike from $0 to $4.99, you get a $50 rebate. If your bike was $500 to $9.99, then you'll get a $100 rebate, and so forth. So with any program, you have to have some rules and guidelines to prevent fraud. So for our customers, you have to be an electric Austin Energy customer to apply for the rebate. You can only buy up to 3 qualifying electric bikes per fiscal year. That's October 1st through September 30th. So we're coming up on our new fiscal year for 2020 on October 1st. The bike must be new and purchased from an approved dealership list that I'll show you later on. And the electric bike must also be physically purchased from our approved dealership store, and no online purchases are eligible. So the participation steps for this program are also quite simple. Number 1, we just verify that the bike is purchased from an Austin Energy approved dealership. The incentive application has to be submitted within 60 days of when you purchase the bike. And the customer will also send in a copy of their invoice from the bike store, their vehicle identification number, and a bike manufacturer's spec sheet so that we can make sure it is, in fact, an electric bike and has that battery and motor we're looking for. So the application's pretty simple as well. The customers will, of course, fill out their name, address, Austin Energy account number, and then they'll fill out the make of the bike, model, VIN, serial number, price, and dealership name, and then they'll attach their invoice of the bike purchase and spec sheet with the application. So one of the keys to this rebate program is supporting local businesses with local Austin tax IDs and keeping taxpayer money within Austin. So we do require that the dealerships customers go with are an approved dealer in Austin. This is because the actual bike dealership store acts as a point of service if any issue arises with the bike. And relationships with the local dealerships also help us out at events by providing their expertise. And having a partnership with dealerships is key in preventing fraud. So for an example, if someone purchases a bike just to get the rebate and then returns the bike, we'd have a better gauge of preventing that fraud from happening rather than getting it from an online dealership and trying to track that down. So as you can see, we have a lot of local dealerships that we work with. We have a lot of dealers that just sell electric bikes, some that sell scooters. We even have one dealership that sells trucks, they're gas trucks, but they happen to sell electric bikes as well. So the good thing for the dealers, the application process is also quite simple for them wanting to be on the list. They'll just fill out this form and include their Austin Energy account number, tax ID, and other storefront information. When the electric ride program first launched, there was heavy outreach involvement to local Austin dealerships. Our coworkers visited each store and brought information about the rebate program, such as flyers, to share with customers. And right now, all the dealerships have a pretty good gauge of Austin Energy in our program. So we still join all of our dealers in events like Austin Drive Electric Week, and that's where the photo that's above that was taken was just the other weekend. So moving on to our fleet rebate. So aside from our general electric bike rebate for residential customers, we also give out rebates for electric bike fleet of 5 bikes or more. Our e-bike fleet rebate program was actually the first of its kind in the nation, and Bike Texas was the first to receive a fleet rebate in 2016 from Austin Energy. They received a fleet rebate for 25 electric bikes. And that picture above is at the launch with Mayor Steve Adler, representatives from Bike Texas, and the EV team. So since then, Austin Energy has given a couple other e-ride fleet rebates to companies and organizations, including a fleet for transportation department. So the incentive guidelines, sorry, it's not moving on to the next slide. There we go. So the incentive guidelines are exactly the same as the individual bike rebate, except the cap is at 400 per e-bike instead of 300. There's also a few different rules. The applicant must purchase between 5 to 25 bikes to be considered a fleet. Bike dealers are excluded from directly applying for this rebate. Each fleet e-bike must display Austin Energy's branding. And to receive the rebate, the company must also provide a one-time report to Austin Energy on mile usage and lessons learned, which this is something that organizations we found have done anyways for their management. So where is the e-ride program going from here? As part of Austin Energy's resolution to get rid of paper, this rebate program is moving online to a software called Energy Efficiency Collaboration Platform that the Energy Efficiency Services Department uses. This platform not only reduces paper, but it will hopefully help in the operations process to make it quicker for customers to receive rebates. It's also much better for report generation and can house all of our historical data in one place that will not get lost. We are currently in the development phase of EECP, but we are planning to release this program before the end of the calendar year, and we are really excited about it. With this project will come an overhaul of our e-ride section on the website, which will be made to look like a current EV home charging station rebate. So I encourage you all to check out our website. Hope I provided some insight on our e-ride program and electric bikes in general, and I'm open to receiving any questions that you may have. If we don't have time today or you stump me on a question that my coworkers can better answer, please don't hesitate to email me at the email above. You can also go to our website at pluginaustin.com or email pluginaustin@austinenergy.com. So thank you, and special thanks to Movability for hosting and inviting me.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Caitlin. And again, if y'all have any questions for Caitlin, please go ahead and type them into the questions box, and we will get to them at the end. And I also want to do a special shout out. We really appreciate our local bike dealers a lot. And one of them that's an approved vendor is Mod Bikes, which is actually a Movability member. They're great folks over there. So yeah, thank you, Caitlin.
You're welcome.
So now we're going to be moving on to Josh and Esteban, who are going to be talking about their Commutify platform. So awesome. Josh, I've handed the control over to you to click through the slides. So just go ahead and jump in.
Wonderful, thanks, and also thank you, Caitlin. You know, I was thinking, you know, if we all rode those EV bikes around like Stevie the T-Rex, I bet we could solve a lot of the problems with people not wearing helmets.
Right.
But not, hundreds of inflatable dinosaurs riding around downtown. You know, talk about keeping Austin weird. I think that would be awesome. But anyways, I wanted to thank everybody. Thank you, Alex, for putting this all together today. This is I'm Josh Jacobson with Commutify, and I'm on presenting today with Esteban Sanchez also with Commutify. And for those of you who are looking for best practices with your companies and how to really provide the best commuting solutions for your employees. This is basically what we do. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our software, what we do for employees, and what the employee experience is who uses our software. I'll talk to that for a few moments, and then I'll shift over to Esteban, who will show you a demo of what it looks like from the employer side, and how all these rich analytics and data that we derive helps the company make more data-driven decisions to help promote the commute reduction programs that you may want to put into place. So let's just switch over to the next slide real quick. Basically, our mission here at Commutify is to optimize employees' commutes. This keeps going the wrong way. I'm gonna go back 2 slides. Right, there we go. We're a software company, so we don't create plans. We work with TMAs such as movability. In fact, we work with TMAs all across the country. I'm happen to be here in Austin, Texas. I'm an Austinite. We have an office at 6th and Congress, just across the street. I see Alex and her office, their office is just across the street from us. Esteban is up in Montreal. We have offices in California, and our headquarters is in Boulder, Colorado. What we do if we don't create plans is we create a software. And what we do with this software is create a commuter score. Now, a lot of times people say, what is a commuter score? What is it made of? And I'll talk to that a little bit more, but it's basically time, cost, and energy savings for employees to get from their home to the office. There's no single, silver bullet that is going to solve every company's commuter plan. And what we found is that it's got to be a tailored mobility plan per employee. And that's what our software does. We create scores that score individual employees' commutes from home to the office based on time, cost, and energy savings. And then we optimize that for the companies to hit their either sustainability goals, their cost goals, or their trip reduction goals. Our overall vision here is to really empower companies and cities with data to help them drive down their costs and mode shift their employees to reduce single occupancy vehicles on the roads, really reduce that traffic. Julie had that great slide in the very beginning on the website. Austinites will spend over a year of their lives in traffic. I mean, that's, as you know, Austin is growing exponentially, and we want to reduce that traffic congestion. As companies are moving here from all over the country, setting up headquarters, how do we deal with that influx of traffic and employee growth? And our software we use with a number of these large nationwide companies and even local companies here in Austin to do just that. And that's how we exercise our vision. So what is the commuter score? Now, the best way I've learned to explain this is in terms of comparing it to a FICO score or a credit score, if you're not familiar with FICO scores. But if you are, and if you're familiar with companies like Credit Karma, what they'll do is take a look at your FICO score, your credit score, and they'll show you all the different ways you can improve that score. And they'll give you recommendations, and they'll show you what your score is, and they'll even project what your score will be. Say if you took out an auto loan or a mortgage or paid it off early. Basically, just to juxtapose to what we do at Commutify, that's exactly what we do with commuters. We create a commuter score, again, based on time, cost, and energy savings that shows what commute would look like going from home to the office. It's based on a score of 0 to 100, where 100 is the best. And say, for instance, in this case, they're an 83 out of 100, which is good. What we would do is show a whole menu of options that individual employee could see very easily to improve their score. And some of those options might be mass transit. Some of those options might be Uber or Lyft, or if they're in the local downtown area, it might be Lime Bike, or it might be a ride share, a car share, a scooter, a van share. There's a million options, but they're not all pertinent to every single employee based on where he or she is living and coming from. And so that's really the genius behind our software, is that we will tailor those individual mobility plans to that individual's daily commute. What I like to do is kind of show you right now what an individual's dashboard would look like once they sign up for our program. Everybody on the program takes a quick 2-minute survey. We just simply text out a link or email a link to employees. It takes 2 minutes to complete. And basically what we'll do, and you can see a screen share over here, somebody will get a 52 out of 100. We'll show them how they can improve their score based on time, cost, and energy savings. So for instance, for example, this person is spending $342 a month on her commute. It's taken her 32 minutes in this Austin traffic, and this is her carbon output. Now, here in Austin, what we're really mostly focused on and mostly concerned about, of course, is reducing spend. In California, for instance, the carbon emissions are very big are very important to air quality reduction. Even though some companies here in Austin might not be their focus, we certainly help companies achieve those sustainability and environmental goals as well. But how it works is by our software putting together all of these different commuter assets, whether it's, again, carpooling, rideshare, mass transit, van pool, and we put together a whole menu of options for each individual employee to choose from. So it's not being forced down their throats. Once this employee sees all these different mode options that they can get to and from the office, it's their choice that they can choose from. And all that data then rolls up into a dashboard that the employer can choose from. So it's not just a score for individuals. What we do is we score entire companies. We can score entire buildings. So if you have locations across the city of Austin or across the state or even across the country, you can have these scores. Say, Austin office is 51 out of 100. The Los Angeles office might be a 72 out of 100. And then you can start seeing more granular how to improve that. So basically, I wanted to give a high-level overview of what the experience looks like from the employee standpoint. And with this, I'd like to shift over to Esteban, my colleague, who's the Chief Technology Officer for Commutify, to go through a demo and talk a little bit more about what it looks like from the employer side and what an employer dashboard looks like. Esteban?
Thank you, Josh. And so can I get control of my screen to share my screen?
Yep, just one moment. I'll make you the presenter, Esteban. And you should be good to go.
Perfect. Let's see my main screen. Great. Do you see my screen?
Yep, looks great.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Josh, for the good overview. What I'd like to do is do a deeper dive into just some of the analytics and some of the tools that we offer employers, cities, building owners. Think any organization or any group of commuters that has challenges and wants to start addressing these challenges. And as Josh mentioned, the first thing in fixing a challenge is understanding what solution work. Do we put transit pass incentive? Do we implement a parking cash out program? Do we get more biking incentive? What will work for our commuters? And that's key. And as you understand that, it's also I implemented this program. Did it had an impact? What was the impact? And that's what we help employers do. So as you see here, I'm on a sample employee dashboard. This is what I'm showing you is actually based on real data to show what a real example look like from an employer in California, in San Mateo, which has 644 employees. And that's the view that they get, where the first thing they see is their overall metrics. The average cost per month of their commuters, so of their 600 employees, is $429 a month. And that's a lot, but that's counting the cost of driving, car depreciation, parking, transit passes. It's a cost counting all of their commuters. They see that their commuters have an average commute time of 32 minutes, which is actually not so bad in this case, and an average carbon footprint of 400 pounds. So all of that gives them an average commuter score of 46 out of 100. And as Josh said earlier, this is a great baseline. They know that this is where they stand today. And with the commuter score, they can measure if they're going up or down. And hopefully they're going up. And then there's a lot of analytics that they can get. And I won't go through all of these, but some of the striking one that we see is first This is California. 91% of these commuters in this enterprise are currently driving. 8% are taking transit, 2.6% are biking. So we already see what needs to change. We start understanding when people arrive at work, how much time is it taking different people to get to work, but also what distances are people driving from. And what we see here is that one of the biggest peak of commuters is actually between 0 to 5 miles from work. And what's interesting is that 0 to 5 mile is a distance when there's a lot of alternate modes, from transit to actually electric bikes, which with great rebates that we learned about earlier. So there's a lot of options within that. So that's what we help the employer do, understand this data, but also have a deeper dive into it with our new heat mapping tool. So what you're seeing here is these same 626 employees, but laid over on a map where we can visualize how good is their commute. So here we're looking at, so we see the office here is in San Mateo in the Bay Area. And this again work anywhere in the world. This is just the example I have. And quickly we see based on the color, how good is everyone commute. So red means a bad commuter score, green means a really good commuter score. And the numbers you see on the screen are how many commuters are coming from these areas. So right away we see that there's a big bucket of over 130 commuters who are coming from San Jose here and have a really bad commute, while commuters near the office have a better commute. We can start looking at the same data based on various metrics. So we could look at what the commute time is for these commuters. And we could look at a cost of the carbon, but we can also go and say, start understanding different modes. By example, you might want to look at who bikes to work, who carpool to work, who drive, who ride share, who walk. Really look at all these individual mode and understand on a map how is their commute. So here, what we're looking at is users who transit, how much time does it take them? And what we see first is that it's not that many users who transit. It's only 8% from the previous screen. And as we zoom on the map, we see that they're all also on the, and I know many of you are probably not familiar with the Bay Area region, but we see that they're all on the call train. So we quickly understand that users who transit are, and we see 53 users are on the call train. The first question we get asked often is what can we do to solve that? What can we do to reduce the number of employees who are driving? And the first thing that employer will usually think about is, let's offer subsidized transit pass and let's offer them to everyone. And that's where we think the data is interesting, because with this data, you're able to see not only what the impact of transit pass can be, but how many users can actually use public transit in a way that would be efficient for them compared to the driving commute. And there's a lot of studies that show that actually if you double the transit time of a user, they're very, very unlikely to adopt this new mode of commute. And while this load, we actually worked on a study with Rocky Mountain Institute, which if you're not familiar, they're a large nonprofit around sustainability called How Commuteify Commuter Score Can Influence Sustainable Commuting. And if you're looking for additional read after, I'd suggest it's available online, you can download it. It's a 50-page study on how to map the right incentive to change and how can we create mode shift among commuter. What does it take to actually shift users? But coming back to your data here, so what I changed here is we were looking at users who transit based on time, but instead of looking at only the 48 users who transit, what our tool can do is that it can run modelization. It can help us understand, so what if we gave a transit pass to everyone? What if everyone transit? What would it look like? And so what we're seeing here is that first there's a lot of red, which doesn't look good. It's for 37% of users, getting to work in transit would take them more than 80 minutes. And for another 17% of users, it would take them 60 to 80 minutes. And so overall, it helps us understand that for all these users here who are driving, transit might not be a decent option. While for all the users maybe here more towards San Francisco, a subsidized transit pass might be an option. So we can start to model our incentive from maybe carpooling incentives here, or shuttle services, or different services that can help fix this area, transit pass here, and maybe even as we look closer, we see all these users here are currently driving to work, but we see that their transit time is not that better for living 2 miles from the office. So that's a perfect example of looking maybe at the electric bikes subsidy to convert these users. And that's really what our platform does. It helps get the right analytics to understand commuter behavior, but it also helps, and I won't get into that today because I know we don't have much time, but it also helps then manage these subscriptions from who subscribed to a parking, who subscribed to a biking incentive, who subscribed to a transit incentive. We can have a list of all commuters. We can manage issuing these different incentives. So it's a one-stop shop for the employer to understand mobility data, understand what are the right incentives that can help, but also manage issuing these incentives. And that goes along with our commuter dashboard, which Josh talked about earlier, where once we have incentive in place, once the analytics are there and we understand the data, every employee gets their own dashboard where they can understand their own data. How long does it take me to get to work in transit, biking, walking, driving? What incentive do I have access to? It's a one-stop shop for the employees as well. And I'd love to stop there. Josh, I don't know if you had anything else to add on that, but I see we're running short on time.
Yeah, we are running a little short on time, and I'm happy to connect with anybody that might be interested. I know we already have some clients here in Austin that might be on this call, but if somebody else is more interested, I'm happy to have a conversation afterwards.
All right, fabulous. Thank you so much, Josh and Esteban. That was great, and a very good overview. I know that there's so much power in that tool, and so much fun, nerdy stuff to dig into. So hopefully at a future point, we'll be able to dig a little deeper in that, but thank you for the overview. We have about 1 minute here, and I have a couple questions. So I'm going to challenge our presenters to give me 30-second answers if they can. So let's start the first challenge. So Julie, this question comes from Annalise. Is there a specific process for requesting protected bike lanes along your daily commute?
You could use 311. That's probably the best option. Also, the city just adopted, I think in 2016, a really big mobility bond package that included a lot of work for bicycle infrastructure. You can find that online as well, but 311 is the best option.
311. Okay, awesome. Thank you. And then Caitlin, 30-second answer from you. Does the city still manage a program where you can request bike racks to be installed at your workplace if there aren't any? Question from Vicky for Caitlin.
I do not know of that program. I can talk to my manager and see, but I think that would be an awesome suggestion for us to do.
Yeah, I love that. And thanks, Vicky, for the question. So Caitlin and I will do a little research into it, and we'll see what we can find and let y'all know. We are here at 1 o'clock on the dot, so going to go ahead and wrap it up. But just again, thank you, huge thank you to all of our presenters for bringing their diverse perspectives, and thanks to everybody who participated. This webinar was recorded, so we will have that recording available if anybody wants to rewatch or share with coworkers. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.